this thing. I don't think they heard that. All right, now we're live. Okay, now we're live. All right.
Okay.
Nobody heard that, so that was good. Nobody heard anything that I said just 5 seconds ago. But it's Final Four. It is the last day of March, so that means the Final Four is actually going to be in April, which, it all counts the same, I suppose. The Final Four that everybody's talking about, it's all the blue bloods. I'd rather look at this from a matchup perspective and the current rosters as they're constructed. I don't want to hear about the guy that sits on the Duke sideline. I don't want to hear about that. I think that
John Shire?
the head coach of the Blue Devils, John Shire. I think the theme of this Final Four is probably should be more about the fact that, first of all, the ACC has 2 of the 4 teams.
Yeah.
Second of all, it happens to be Duke, North Carolina. Third, everybody thought, including myself and many others, that North Carolina was dead 2 months ago. And I guess we're here. And Villanova, a team that we were very much up and down on all season, they're here. And Kansas, kind of a under the radar, kind of overshadowed by Baylor a little bit before Baylor had some injury issues.
Yeah.
And Kansas, a team that I think that you and I both were like, I don't think they're that good like 2 months ago. So
right. But I mean, you look at Kansas's path. We talked about how it was probably one of the easiest for a 1 seed. They got it done as a 1 seed. So props to them. It's still hard to get to the Final Four regardless. But yeah, North Carolina, you talk about, people were talking about them not even being in the tournament. I feel like that win at Duke kind of sparked this team. They've definitely peaked at the right season or at the right time of the season. So, everybody's going to be all over this Duke North Carolina game. I mean, apparently people like Eric Church are canceling concerts so he can go to the game. So it's going to be a fun game. And I think the big keys for North Carolina is, Brady Manick and the way that he's been shooting the ball. I saw that he's shooting 44% in the tournament from 3 right now. Against the 2 games against Duke, he's 11 for 20 in those 2 games that they've already played. So I think he's going to be a big factor. And how well, RJ Davis and Caleb Love play. They struggled when Duke came to North Carolina. They were 7 of 21 from the field. Davis had 11 points and Caleb Love had 8 points in that first matchup. So they've definitely been playing better. They both have had 30-point games in the tournament. So those guys are going to be a big factor. I just don't know, with Coach K's last hurrah, if it's going to be enough, because Duke was absolutely embarrassed at home in that last game. So I think that's going to be a big factor.
Yeah, I almost think that Duke players are kind of, I don't know if scared is the right word, but I think that they're a little bit worried about ruining this, because if you look at their quotes from today, like Bonchero and Wendell Moore and those guys saying stuff like, oh, it's just another game. It's just, we don't care who we play. We're going to bring the same mentality. But also, it's not just another game.
It's not even close to just another game.
Your narcissistic head coach made this all about himself, and it's a big thing about his farewell tour BS, which he'll say, oh, it's not about me having a storybook ending. It's about wanting to coach again. BS, shut up.
Yeah.
What an idiot. But the thing with North Carolina is that nobody had them penciled in for a quote-unquote quality win until February 19th. They beat Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech. Now,
that's crazy.
Looking elsewhere on their schedule, I know Michigan was bad in December, but they obliterated Michigan. So I think people would look at that and be like, that's a good win. I wouldn't consider that much of a good win. It was a home game for them. It was in December. It was when Michigan was at their worst.
Yeah. You know me, games in December don't matter.
That's a Big Ten ACC challenge. It's a big spectacle, big deal.
Doesn't matter.
But, yeah, I mean, then after that, they didn't really have any more. I mean, they beat Syracuse. That was an overtime win at Chapel Hill. That's not that impressive. They beat Duke, which was the big one, like you said, the one that got them over the hump to where they were. And then they beat Virginia, which, again, not an impressive one with what Virginia was this season. They lost to Virginia Tech. So really 2 quality wins going into the tournament North Carolina had. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's why people thought of them that way. But everybody knew that their lineup was good. It just wasn't working.
Right, and it seems like they've been since the Duke game, they've been relying heavily on starters. It's those five. I think that another guy might get off the bench. They play two other guys maybe. Um, so I think that they've kind of scaled back how many guys they have playing. They're relying on their starters. I saw that they had in the second game against Duke, they had their bench only played a combined 14 minutes. So, I think, like I said, I think the development of Davis and Love has been a lot better, and but they have to defend because Duke as a team, I mean, they just have a bunch of guys. They got 5 guys that have scored in double figures in 3 of the first 4 games of the tournament. Bonchero has looked really good lately. So they're going to have to play well against those guys. Like I said, I don't know if North Carolina has it in them to beat Duke in this game.
I think everything's up against them, considering the fact that they did beat them at Cameron Indoor to finish the season. This is a Duke team that doesn't want to lose to them again. But I don't know. I feel like matchups are really going to matter. I don't know what they do against Bonchero. I think Duke. I like when Duke runs the Bonchero at the 5 lineup because it really allows him to kind of control a little bit more. I know Mark Williams is tremendous when he's playing, but I don't know. I don't know how big of an impact that matchup will have in this game. Like Bonchero versus Baycott when Bonchero is playing the 5 is going to be very interesting to see if Paolo is going to try to make more shots rather than going inside on him. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think in that second game, Bonchero was held to well, no, he wasn't held. They held AJ Griffin to like 5 points, I think. But Bonchero, I think he had like 27, 23
23
in those games. Yeah, so
10 for 26 or 11 for 26 from the field, though.
Yeah.
Griffin had 5.
Unlike Agbaji, he thinks that he's a star. So
so there you
he's
go.
not afraid to shoot the ball.
Armando Baycott was 10 for 11 with 23 points against Duke in that game. So he was big time.
Yeah.
And the game, it wasn't like, it was 41-39 Duke at the half. And then going into the last 10 minutes of the game, it was 61-59 Duke. So they were up with 10 minutes to go, and then North Carolina outscored them 35-20 to finish the game. So they kind of took the game over. I mean, they had 4 guys with 20 points or more, pretty much the expected guys, Davis and Love, Manick, and Baycott. They didn't play very many guys off the bench. Dontrez Styles has been pretty important for them off the bench recently. Puff Johnson gets a few minutes. So, I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the benches are because I don't think the benches for either of these teams are like that important. I mean, because you look at what Duke has off the bench. Jeremy Roach was big time in the tournament. He was big time against North Carolina in that last game. So he'll be important, but they don't need him to be like a guy that takes the game over. So, yeah. I mean, we'll make a pick.
And Love wasn't great in that game, that second game. I mean, he had 22 points, but 12 of those came from the line.
Yeah.
So him from the field was not that good. That's going to matter. I mean, if North Carolina can get to the line, if their guards can continue to play as good as they are, and if Manick can go, 5 of 10, 6 of 10 like he has against them, North Carolina will make it a game. But I have Duke winning this game and covering. So
yeah, I feel the same way. I think Duke wins this game. I don't think that North Carolina is going to be able to keep up. I think with the way that Duke's been shooting the ball and the way that North Carolina really isn't great defensively, but I feel like their matchups could be good. Like I think that they have guys that like Leaky Black's a really good defender. I don't know what he'll do. I do worry about the guards for North Carolina because of the size. Because you look at Duke's guards and like Wendell Moore 6'5", Griffin 6'6", Roach is only 6'1", Keels is 6'4". So I mean those are big guards. And North Carolina's guards, I mean Love 6'4", so that's good, but Davis only 6 foot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to be a big factor there as well. But also, the thing that makes up for them having smaller guards, North Carolina, is Baycott 6'10", Manic 6'9",
Right.
and Black 6'8". So they have the wing length that you need. So I think in terms of size matchups, like North Carolina is fine outside of the guards that you worry about a little bit. But if Roach is playing the minutes he's been playing, he started against Arkansas over Trevor Keels. So that'll be important. I think Keels is going to be an X factor in this game because if he's not making shots for Duke off the bench, their offense becomes different. Because some of the games that they've played in this tournament that have been close when they've shot well, Keels is not really doing anything. So that'll be a factor. He was 4 for 9 from the field against Arkansas, which isn't bad, but 1 for 4 from 3. You want him there to make threes, and he didn't do that. And then you look at him against Texas Tech, 0 points, 0 for 3 from the field. So I mean, if he's making shots, they'll be in a much better spot. He did have 12 against Michigan State, 1 for 2 from 3. So they need him to make shots. Griffin, same thing. Those two got to make shots. And I don't know. I think North Carolina needs to approach this game differently than they approached the last matchup of the season that they won, because Duke is, making everything now.
Yeah, and they can't go into it thinking, oh, we just beat them on their home court and, we can run over them. They're going to have to bring all their game to win this. So.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting.
It can't be, hey, our offense is Love and Davis sitting outside the three, chucking them up.
I agree. And I think one thing that you think about with this is that they didn't really have any sort of, no disrespect to St. Peter's, but it really wasn't a hard matchup for them going into this game. Maybe that's something that's worried about a little bit.
Right.
Their road to this has not been easy. I mean, Marquette they obliterated them. Marquette didn't show up, but Baylor, that was a hell of a game. UCLA, hell of a game. And then St. Peter's. So they kind of went from playing a no-show to 2 great games to a no-show into this. And Duke, on the other side, Cal State Fullerton, that game was a joke. Michigan State is not a good team, and they stayed around with them, I guess. And Texas Tech and Arkansas were both heavyweight bouts.
Yeah. Yep.
So we'll see. Let's shift gears to the other game. Talk a little bit about Duke, North Carolina at the end. Kansas, Villanova. Bill Self, Jay Wright. Probably the game that's going to be overshadowed, I would say, by the other one by a significant amount. Even though I think this will be a good game, I think this game will be closer than the other one.
I think it can be a good game. I think it really depends. With Justin Moore being out. Villanova plays 5 guys basically. I think they played 7 in their last game, and one guy played 2 minutes.
Arcidiacono played 2 minutes. Yeah.
So,
and that's not the good Arcidiacono. That's his brother.
Yeah. So they're going to have to slow this game down. They're going to have to make it, their pace of play, kind of like that Houston game where, a 50-44 game. I don't think we're going to get that, but they're going to have to slow it down and make sure that their guys are I want to say well rested, but they can't play at Kansas's up and down speed.
I think they're very capable of slowing the game down.
Yeah,
I think they can do that.
Right, they proved it against Houston. I mean, Houston's not a fast team by any means, and I was looking into the Creighton Kansas game, and Creighton only played 6 guys. They had 3 guys that played 40 minutes and another guy that played 38. So it can be done. I mean, Creighton is not anywhere near as good as Villanova, and they stayed in that game. I mean, a 7-point game. So I think that Villanova has a chance. I just don't know if they can run long enough to stay with them. So
one thing I worry about with Villanova is that the 4 teams that they've beaten to get here are all ranked outside of the top 200 in adjusted tempo on KenPom. Kansas is 61st, so they're not overly fast, but fast enough. So that'll be interesting.
But that's how they're going to want to play the game, right? I mean, they're going to want to play against Villanova's strength.
They have to.
So I think that's going to be a big part of it. I think that Nova can stay in the game. I just don't know if they'll have enough legs towards the end of the game.
Yeah, that's a concern. I think Agbaji is the key for Kansas in this
I
game.
agree.
If he's aggressive early, I don't know who they're going to match up with him. I would think that given the length of the bench for Kansas and the amount of guys they've played some minutes, I assume that you got a lineup where Agbaji's the 2 because they've been going Christian Brown, DeJuan Harris is the 1, Brown at the 3 pretty much, Agbaji at the 2, Wilson at the 4, and McCormick at the 5. Now, for Villanova, they're pretty much going to be slotting in Caleb Daniels in the lineup. So in that case, you're running 6'3", 6'4", 6'7", 6'7", 6'8". So you can get a guy with some length on Agbaji if you want. I think Daniels will probably be the guy that guards him unless they go Brown and they go with a lengthier matchup like a Slater on Agbaji, because they have guys that are lighter, but they also every single player on Villanova looks like a football player.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is. And I think that'll be a big key if they can get aggressive against Agbaji instead of him getting aggressive with them. And he's been known to come out and not play the way he should. He did that against Miami. And I don't think it's going to fly. I don't think it's going to help, or I don't think it's going to work for Kansas as well if he comes out that slow against Villanova. Because Villanova, they're only going to have 5 guys playing pretty much, but they can still slow the game down. They can rebound. They proved that against Houston. They had no issues rebounding against Houston. And that was in a game where Houston's a team that gets offensive rebounds. They were missing every single shot in that game. Yeah. So they were not getting offensive rebounds either.
Right. So. And if anything, you got to think that Jay Wright can easily outcoach Bill Self.
Yeah, I mean, please.
So
Jay Wright is head and shoulders above any other coach at the Final Four right now. It's not close. I don't care what anybody says about accolades and all that stuff. It's not even close. Who's won more recent championships than him? Exactly. So, and Bill Self's a cheating fraud, and the nameless coach for Duke is a loser. And Hubert's he's new to this, and we'll see.
Yeah, and Remy Martin's been huge back for Kansas. He's been their leading scorer, and I think 3 of the 4 games in the tournament. So we'll see how he comes out if he's still playing well. I know
him versus Gillespie is going to be huge because when DeJuan Harris comes out, they bring Remy Martin in. I want to see how Gillespie plays against him. I mean, Gillespie was not good against Houston. I think it says a lot about this Villanova team that they were able to beat Houston, hold them to 44. I know Houston missed a lot of shots.
1 for 20 from 3.
Yeah, well, I mean, and some of those
that's not a lot.
Some of those were good looks too.
That's a ton.
It's weird. I guess they were due to miss a lot, but Villanova. We'll see. Playing 5 guys is going to be interesting to see. I think if Jermaine Samuels is aggressive and it gets to the rim, like he made a couple of big shots late against Houston, I think that'll help them. I think people will look at this matchup and say that McCormick is going to be a concern, but there's no big that has proven they can dominate Villanova. It doesn't matter the height advantage, and McCormick's only 2 inches taller than Dixon, so I'd like to see a big prove that they can do this against Villanova before I say, well, they got a guy that's 6'8" playing the 5. So
right.
Shift gears on that. And we'll see. I mean, I don't know how Jay Wright approaches the offense in this game. I think they'll probably just run most of the stuff they usually run, which is just keep passing the ball, unselfishness, getting guys open. There's always a guy open. Kansas's defense is 18th in the country in adjusted efficiency. Villanova is 17th. Offensively, Kansas 7th, Villanova 9th. And then the other, I guess other than tempo, the other stat that you kind of view for this game and you look at it okay, this could help one team over another is the fact that Villanova does get their shot blocked a lot. And they're 318th in block percentage in their offense. Kansas's defense is 76. So I don't know if that's going to factor into this because you do have the size disadvantage for Villanova overall in a lot of games. Right. But I don't think that's going to be a factor because they just have a bunch of wings now. I think Daniels is 6'4", Moore was 6'4". Flip them, it's pretty much the same height. I mean, Moore's a better player, but Daniels is more than capable of being a good player for them. Now, the thing with Villanova in late games is they don't miss free throws. So you really don't want to be in a close game with them because, like, literally they don't miss free throws. Because I think they're like a percentage point away from like the all-time record in free throw percentage as a team. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're way ahead of everybody. 83% from the line. The second best team in the country is 80.7. So you don't want to be in a close game with them because think about this. Villanova's first in free throw percentage in the country. The other Final Four team that's close to them is North Carolina at 30. And then you got to go way down. Duke is 108th in free throw percentage. Or wait, no, Duke is 93rd. And then Kansas is 164th.
Wow.
So if this is like a 60-60 game, or let's say Villanova's up 2 with a minute left, you're fouling them. You can foul anybody. They're not going to miss.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's something Bill Self might lose sleep over, and that'd be a shame. I'd like to see how many free throws Villanova's missed in the tournament. So they were 15 for 15 against Houston. They missed 2 against Michigan, which seems like a lot. They missed 3 against Ohio State. Jeez, what are they doing? Okay, yeah, they've missed 6 free throws in 4 games as a team, which
not bad.
I wish Illinois could even.
I was going to say
that.
Illinois. That's one game for them.
It's like a half, like 6 for 12 at the half.
True.
So it's weird to think about. But if you're going to trust any coach to win a game that nobody expects them to win, it would be Jay Wright and Villanova. I mean, what are they, 19-3 in the last 6 tournaments? I mean, they just don't lose very often. They have guys that have been there. Like, I don't think any team left has those guys that have been there and done that in the way that Villanova does.
Right.
And I know everyone's like, oh, this is a culture week. Who cares? I mean, that's just an overused word. I know it means something.
Culture week, huh?
Like, all these programs are about culture and stuff, and it's like, okay. I mean, I get what they're trying to say. I think the 3 biggest program cultures that everybody brings up is Villanova, Houston, and Baylor. So I guess that means you have to be a coach that takes over a program when they suck and then have a lot of success, and then you're a culture program. So congrats to Villanova on that. But after saying everything that I've said about Villanova, I think Kansas wins this game by 3. So it sucks,
Okay.
Villanova going down. Unfortunate, the Moore injury changed a lot. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be interesting to see because Kansas is definitely going to have a way harder matchup in Villanova, no matter what, than what they've had this tournament. And Villanova is going to have a harder matchup in Kansas than anything they've seen probably. I mean, Houston was awful against them. So, you can't really say that was a really hard matchup because Houston was awful. So,
yeah. I got Kansas winning this by 10. I just think that they're going to pull away late in the second half, and I just don't have any faith in Villanova hanging around with Kansas late in the game. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disrespect the name of Jay Wright and the Villanova basketball program.
Understandable.
So I think that they'll keep it close. What is your rooting interest in terms of a matchup for the national championship? What do you want to see?
I'd like to see Villanova get there. I don't know if they can. I zero part of me wants to see Duke, Kansas, so I would have to go with North Carolina, Villanova.
And everybody knows it's gonna be Duke, Kansas.
That's what everybody wants, right?
It's gonna happen.
So we got to hope that means that's not what everybody's getting.
See, I'd have much less of a problem with Duke if they didn't have that guy sitting on the sideline, I think. So if he wasn't there, they seem like a likable team, a lot of talent, NBA guys left and right. But, and Bill Self's hair is just horrible to look at. So that's one part as to why you don't want to see him there.
That's true. That's true.
But we'll see. I mean, it should be an interesting Saturday. I don't know why these games are on TBS. What the hell is CBS doing?
I don't know. I'm guessing just because I don't know.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It really
is.
I don't understand. Should be nationally televised. Let everybody watch the game.
So they have CBS Weekend News and some sort of Whitney Houston bull bleep. Like,
Okay.
seriously, what are we doing here? And then a rerun of The Equalizer. So, the hell. I mean, seriously, guys. Get it together. Get a grip. I'm assuming it's Nance on the call.
Figure it out.
I'm glad we get to listen to Grant Hill like he's going to be unbiased. That'll be great.
True.
So, I mean, these are Villanova colored pins, by the way. Villanova throwback colored pins.
You going all in with Nova, huh?
Villanova, my guys. Hopefully, I can get it done. Okay, let's go with this scenario. If Duke loses North Carolina, what player on North Carolina is the biggest reason why?
What was that?
If Duke loses to North Carolina,
Yeah.
what North Carolina player is the biggest reason why that happened?
I want to say Manic because I've said it like 17 times. But I'm going to say Baycott. I'm going to say he needs to have one of his best games. He rebounded the ball really well in their last game. He's a double machine, almost as good as getting a double as Kofi Coburn. But yeah, I'm going to say that Baycott's going to be the reason they win if they win.
I'm going to say Caleb Love. I think if he's making those shots he was making against UCLA,
Fair.
that he's a big time talent coming out, maybe a one and done guy when he came out, hasn't gone that way. But lengthy guard, I think him versus Wendell Moore or AJ Griffin, whoever he's up against, is going to be a really, really good matchup. If I were Hubert Davis, I would put Leaky Black on AJ Griffin because that's height advantage and he can guard just about anybody.
And that's why I wonder if that's who guarded him in that second game because AJ Griffin played terrible apparently.
Well, if Roach starts, you go Roach versus Davis. That's obvious. Now then do you go Love versus Moore and then Black versus Griffin. And then you have Manic versus Bonchero and Baycott versus Williams because Manic doesn't have the length, I don't think, to guard Mark Williams. So if Bonchero's the 5, you have Baycott on him because they do have that lineup that they run. But when Williams is at the 5 and he's going to start, you have Baycott on him. So
true. Yeah.
I think Manic's got the experience and toughness.
I was going to say, do you think he can handle him?
I think that they're not going to run it that much and long enough to where – because the guy on the sideline doesn't really do very much coaching. So
true. Yeah. True.
Yeah, they'd probably just throw Bonchero back at the 5 after the first media timeout and see what happens. Okay, on the flip side for Duke, if Duke wins, biggest reason.
I think it's gonna. I really think it's gonna be Bonchero. He's led the team in scoring in all but one game in the tournament. The one game that he didn't, AJ Griffin, I think outscored him by 2. So I think Bonchero is going to play like this is his time to prove he should be the number 1 overall pick. So
I'm going to go Trevor Keels. I think if he's making shots, that Duke's probably in good hands. So, I mean, he hasn't been scoring very much. If he's scoring, then, it's probably a wrap if I had to guess. Okay, last thing on the flip side of the other game, if Kansas beats Villanova, what player, biggest reason? Go.
I think it's Agbaji. I think that he needs to play like he's, the guy. He did it in the second half of their last game. In the first half, you probably wouldn't even known he was on the floor. So I'm going to go with him.
I'm going to go with Remy Martin. I think if Remy Martin's scoring it the way he was scoring in the first 3 games of this tournament where he had 20+, yeah, he's a big reason why they were able to hang on and beat Providence. He was really, really good against Creighton. So if Remy Martin's playing well, I think Kansas is a completely different team. And I think him not being there or doing anything during a couple months ago is probably a big reason why we didn't believe in Kansas very much. So Villanova.
Colin Gillespie.
All right. Easy chalk pick for you, huh? I'm going to go with Jermaine Samuels. Yeah, just a big linebacker type, gets to the rim, can score, and why not? I mean, I think that whoever guards him for Kansas is going to have a lot of trouble with that, but we'll see. So we both have Kansas Duke national championship, which is very unfortunate, but it just seems that that's the way it's going to shake out. And we'll see what happens. I assume that we will probably try to do some sort of national championship preview, review situation, whatever that is. I know last year I think we did Monday early before the national championship preview, and then a game recap right after the game because the game was so boring. So I don't know if we'll do the same setup this year, but we'll figure that out in terms of the national championship, and hopefully the matchup doesn't stink. So go Nova, go North Carolina. Actually, I don't even really care at this point. Whatever, even though the whole Duke thing does annoy me.
Give me some good basketball. That's all I want.
Yep, that is all you want. All right, we'll be back a couple days. National championship, Final Four tomorrow.